What is going on, YouTube? It's Aero here, and we're back with some more competitive Forza 7 drift competition in the hood. Not clickbait gone wrong. I haven't done one of these in a while because I haven't been competing in a while. Actually, that's a lie. So I just checked on YouTube really fast. This is going to be a little bit of an interlude here. So if you guys want to skip right to the battles, I wouldn't blame you. I kind of just fell out of love with YouTube and fell out of love with making videos, and these videos weren't. So I stopped uploading them. So to TLDR, we actually were SSR champion, and I feel like that was a huge missed opportunity in terms of making videos. So now going forward, whenever I do anything competitive in terms of drifting, I do want to record it and put the video out to you guys, so you guys can either get more interested in competitive drifting when it comes to gaming, or you could just kind of follow me along with my progression as a driver, or just, you know, have something interesting to watch. One last real quick thing before we get into this. This may be a little bit wacky when it comes to the editing, because for those who have watched these before, normally I'll record the follow driver for both runs. That way you'll be able to see what happened on screen. Because of the way this tournament was run, that wasn't possible. Unfortunately, the replay from Forza, thank you very much, by the way, turn 10, very cool. The replay from Forza, if it's over like a half an hour or something, it stops recording. So halfway through a battle, the replay just stops because this was all done in really one session. So I had to grab some stream VOD from when I was streaming. Follow me over at twitch.tv/MrAeroHD and kind of just piece it together and make it work. But like, for those who have never watched these before, go through and kind of dissect and go through our battles, see why we won or lost, see what mistakes I made, what mistakes the other driver made, and yeah, that way you can kind of get a bit more of a grasp on how judges judge, how you should be approaching battles, and it's also a good way for me to learn. It's kind of reviewing the tapes, rather. Anyway, this was the 350Z Drift Cup. I don't really know the official name of it. I'll put as much information to this in the description if you guys want to sign up and join yourself. It's a spec build, so all the cars are built exactly the same with the exception of wheels, but all the wheels have to be the same weight, so it's just a cosmetic thing. And the only difference when it comes to the actual car is the tuning. Other than that, everyone's on the same playing field. Never seen this done in Forza before. It's random seating, so we were lucky we got seated in the top 16, so this is actually round 2. We're going against Blue. I'm going to be honest, I don't know who this person is, but their name is familiar. So as long as I had like some sort of mental note of somebody, that means that they're probably no slouch. So I heard he's a wheel user. He's pretty decent. People in my Twitch chat were like, yep, he's pretty good. So I went in this with as much nerves as I could. I really didn't want to hype this up and get knocked up first round. But yeah, here's our first battle here against Blue 028. All right, so let's go through the run here. I haven't done one of these in a while, boys. Bear with me. He is from the APAC region, I think. So he does ghost out of here a little bit. Don't think it had anything to do with our battle. Hopefully, heading up the 50 roll here. This is the Sonoma Winter Jam section, if you never know this section before. I'll try to go through the clips with you as we go through this run so you guys know where we're supposed to be. Because where you're supposed to be and where you end up being is two different things. So first thing, it's a 60 roll, not a 50, which is nice because you need a lot of speed going into there. And it ends at this rumble. A lot of people were playing games on this rumble too during comp day, but we didn't fall for it. A lot of guys go for this Manji initiation. I try to carry as much speed in here as possible because this outside zone's really tricky with these cars. These cars only have 350-ish, 370-ish horsepower. It's not a whole lot. It's a decently sized rear tire to 265 on streets as well. So, I mean, that's definitely driftable, but for these long outside sweeping corners, you want to have as much speed going in as possible, because at least for me, I didn't want to sacrifice speed by adding a bunch of air pressure to my rear tires and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I can make up for our lack of power just by, you know, hitting the line right and carrying as much speed in as possible. Initiation zone is those two cones. So we were a little bit late. Not my best initiation. He was also a little wonky. We do end up getting to the outer zone, but nowhere near where we wanted to. He actually kind of grips up a little. I don't know if it's just lag, but he kind of grips up a little bit here. Comes in really fast, which is going to cause a gap to open. I get I'm on the rumble there. I don't think that's bad, but then this is where I was struggling all day. I had real trouble in this initiation, or this transition. Sorry, I can't talk. So you basically want to come up here, get off throttle. It's a slow down zone. Start transitioning. So you want to be on the right side of the track here at the 150 board. As you can see, I was not doing that. And then your transition, your entry point for this corner is the 50 board. So that part I did get correct. So, you know, small things. But because of my line, I was coming in way too fast. Blue was kind of just letting me be an idiot here. I was coming in way too fast, completely missed this inner clip right here, as you can see with my cursor. Ended up getting all the way out to the outside of rumble, which is where we needed to be. Blue luckily drops a tire. So not my best lead run, but definitely Blue was not making mistakes behind me, but not a good showing here for our first battle, in my opinion. So we're gonna switch positions and see what happens in our follow. Alrighty here, so we're in the follow position. As you guys may have seen, I think we got really lucky with this one. I haven't battled in a long time. I think the last battle I did was probably ESDA Sonoma, if not the round after that, so 6 or so months ago. Other than that, it's just been tandeming and like barely playing Forza in general, to be honest. So I did a stupid. What you want to do as a follow car, like this gap is good, but knowing that the 60 roll or the gentleman's roll, whatever you want to call it, ends right here, you kind of want to jump the guy in front of you so you don't, what happens to you doesn't happen to me. What I'm doing back here is basically just waiting for him to go. So once he goes, I react to him going, and you see not a whole lot of a gap opens up, but at the same time, that's still a car length or two that you're going to have to make up on course. And you want to be not extremely close, because a lot of mistakes will happen from that, depending on who you're driving against, if you're confident enough to like enter on their door. Another thing too is that this series, I don't know if it's just this track, said you have to be behind the lead car to enter. You can't enter like beside them or on their door. You can give them the whole track to kind of do what they want. So that's another thing too. A lot of people like to enter like right on the guy's quarter panel, which is, or the rear quarter, which is ideal, but you couldn't do that in this series. They said it was against the rules. So I made a mistake here, given too much room. So I already see a gap open. I'm like, well, this isn't good. He actually carries a lot of speed considering his line. A lot of speed. A little bit too much speed. He's unfortunately all 4 off the course, which is a 0. I did have some mistakes in my lead run, but none of them were run ending. So right here, this is the biggest thing. A lot of people make fun of people for like zeroing or making mistakes when they have significant advantage. But you got to imagine, right, as a driver, regardless if it's real life, virtual, whatever, once you know you have a win in the bag and all you have to do is not make that mistake, it's so much like added pressure just onto yourself. It makes no sense, and it's really dumb. But when you're battling a guy, you're not focused on not making mistakes. You're focused on making like the best lead or the best chase against the other guy. But when you're battling yourself, it's a different like mentality. It's a different form of pressure. So right here, I just transitioned a mile too late. I almost get one in the grass. I actually think I saw a little bit of dirt kick up there. Completely, yeah, there's an inner zone there. Then I get out to this outer zone, have one in the tire and the grass. He tries to make a little last minute charge, but doesn't really matter at this point. That's going to be a win for us. We are moving on to the top 8 against TTL Nate, representing Team Top Line, I believe. If I got it wrong, I'll go correct myself on the next part. But yeah, we're going to be switching up, going up against a new opponent here in top 8, and that's all I really want to do was get one win today. So right now, I'm just kind of cruising and really enjoying. I'm going to try to ride this momentum. Alrighty, going up against Mr. Nate from Team Top Line. Not a team I've ever heard of before. I don't know if I've driven under Nate under a different name, but I definitely didn't recognize this name. But TTL is a newer team to me, but I knew some people that were on his team. So I said, okay, well, if he's good enough to drive with these guys, he's probably not. This isn't going to be an easy win. So going into the first corner here, he runs that outside zone really good. I don't know why I was looking for a different word there. I don't know what I did wrong here. I think I just pitched the car in weird, maybe waited too long to enter. I don't really know what the problem was, but the car kind of just grips up and spears into the center of the track. So I'm like, oh, cool. I think if you watch the stream VOD, you can hear me out loud go, oh my God, I fucked up. So he's going to transition here. But lucky for us, super lucky for us, he just grips up. I think he just let off the throttle to let the car transition. The car's like, nyet. So he's potentially sitting on a 0 at this point. And not even that, but he knows he's sitting on a mistake, which is almost worse than the actual 0. So he reinitiates, goes way wide. He's too off. He's definitely on a 0 now. So I'm like, cool. He's just going to like park it or whatever. I'm going to go and just run my line. But now that I'm already running my line, he comes back on the track. Nate, I did not mean to like make a really BM overtake. This is not what I was trying to do, my friend. But I thought you were going to go off course. I thought you're like the 2 tires was going to drag you completely off with 4 off. So I was like, cool, I could just give him space to make his mistake and I'll stay outside and run my line. I didn't expect you to come back on track. I'm sorry. It was not on purpose. So we do get an overtake there, but it's definitely not clean, but the run's already 0'd at this point. So we're going into our chase run, or lead run rather, sorry, with an advantage. All we need to do is put down a clean one, and then we'll be moving on to the final 4. So leading Nate this time. Really, I need to focus on the outer zone, which I did better, but definitely not good. Definitely room for improvement there. You're supposed to be painting this yellow line, and I'm about half a car to a car length away from it. Not ideal. He follows my line here. Again, no major mistake for me as of yet. Very close. Very close. Again, this track or this setup was weird. So as my human drifter brain would tell me is to power out from this corner with as much power as possible. But because of the way the transition works, about here, you want to be letting off the throttle to slow down to be able to make this transition in time. There's not a whole lot of time to do it. To like start here, be here for the 150, then be back over for the 50. That's not a lot of time when you're at speed. So I let off. I try to do like, this is the problem I've said earlier I had the most trouble with. So I really killed some speed here. But what Nate does, which is he doesn't really have a choice at this point. He's got to do something spectacular or force me into a mistake. He starts charging me. That's why he has this big slowdown here. I actually over-rotate here a little bit. I don't lose the car, but I over-rotate and throw a bit more angle than I was planning on, which forces him into a mistake, which unfortunately, 4 tires off again. 0 for Nate. I don't want to say easy win for us because I definitely could have threw it away there with that transition. I was a hair away from spitting out, but we went against 2 drivers. Both of them had some 0s. So maybe don't have the consistency, but I'm keeping all 4 on track and minimizing major mistakes, which is going to see us go into the final 4. Now, this is where the replay stops. So I have taken stream VODs and tried to cut them up as best as I can. I might be playing music in the edit to drown out the music I was listening to in the video so we don't get copyright striked. But if we do, it is what it is. I'm not going to like take the video down and re-upload it 17 times. But I did my best. That's all I want people to know. But yeah, here we are in the final 4. Voice crack. fucked up. All right, like I said, I feel terrible. I feel so bad about this being the option, but that's kind of, I just going with what I have to work with here. I'm gonna try to discuss what happens in the follow car, with the follow car as much as I can, because I had chat, my Twitch chat telling me a lot, because they were watching the official stream. There was no VOD for the official stream. The replay didn't work. So this is all I had to really go on. I really did want to upload this video, so yeah, here we go. So against CA Powers, this person, I had no idea who they were, but I was trying to watch the stream and I realized they were, you know, pretty decent. Obviously, if you're making it to a Final Four, regardless of what competition you're in, you're not that bad of a driver. So he takes this really wide line on the 50 roll, or the 60 roll. Kind of throws me off a bit, which is going to cause a bit of separation here. Like I said earlier, you kind of want to jump the start a little bit, and I just didn't do that. I don't know if I just forgot or what the deal was here. But he enters, runs that out, does the same thing I did in the other run, actually. So he enters a little late, and you kind of want to keep your car out wide, and he just pitches in. So I'm like, okay, man. And I follow his line. A little bit slow of a transition for him, which is going to let me gain a lot of ground. But he's out wide, and I'm in the middle. So I'm trying to just give him room to maneuver. I'm not really used to his speed right now. Again, never driven with this guy. I don't know what the hell I was doing here, but I like just decided to stop driving. Like, that is just terrible. Two tires off almost. I think I've dropped a front tire. I did. No, I didn't drop a front tire. Oh my god, that was close. Rear tire though, for sure. Big angle from him. He's doing pretty decent in the lead. His line through here was weird. Not necessarily because it was bad, just didn't get all the way outside, was a little bit slower than I expected, really threw me off, and his line through turn 1 obviously wasn't ideal. So not to go on his mistakes too much, because I just decided to not use my hands in this run. I don't know what the hell was going on in my mind, but I drove like garbage. Not perfect from him though, which kind of still leaves the door open for me. And I know that my strong point during the day has been lead runs, and judging from his speed, I know if I focus on my line and just kind of keep my foot down, I might be able to get away from him and force OMT. So that's my mindset going into my lead run, and here it is. That might be us out. He was right there. All right, I'm going to talk about something real fast, super duper fast, lickety split. I don't mean to shit talk the people I'm driving against. I know a lot of people, one guy specifically, I see a lot of people. One guy specifically in my stream was like, you have an ego, blah, blah, blah. It's more of a mental thing to hype yourself up. Normally you're saying that in your head. You're like, oh yeah, this guy sucks, I'm so great. It's like just to have your confidence, because if you go into every battle like, ooh, this is tough, that's when you start making mistakes. Half the time in the stream, as soon as the battle was over, I'd start complimenting the guy I drove against. So if any one of the drivers I drove against is watching this, wow, this guy's talking shit, what a dick. It's just a mental thing. I don't actually mean that. It's just so I go in every run with full confidence and I don't make stupid, nervous mistakes. So anyway, I'm leading here. Again, we don't have the full view, which sucks, so I'm gonna have to kind of just extrapolate from what I remember and what you can see on our screen here. So we get a good jump, a really good jump from the 50 roll. So we got a bit of distance here. So he's gonna try to close that up. I unfortunately don't get all of this outer zone, but this is the best I've done it so far that day. It's just funny because I think in one of these clips you're gonna hear me complain about nobody getting this outer zone, but I'm not doing that great of a job at it either, which I think is like the only hypocritical thing that I've said in this video. I hope. He gets there to me. I get a good angle here, saying he's right there, kind of sacrificing some angle, but he's got really good proximity. I'm really good in this outer zone. I kick up dirt, but my tire's not actually in the dirt. Like, that's a fantastic job on my part. Not to toot my own horn too much. I don't know what if the 50 marker got knocked down or whatever. I'm a little slow on my transition here, not to the point that he was. My line's a bit more predictable. I'm way too. I get to the inner zone too quickly here. I'm one tire off, but he, from judging from this, like he just, you could see that his car, he just had like no angle, like none at all. So judges deem that to be, well, here's your TLDR. Judges deem that to be pretty evenly split on mistakes. I would say that I agree with that, and we headed to one more time. Again, their reasoning was that my lead was better than his lead, and his follow was better than my follow, therefore OMT. I mean, my only real major mistake was that going inside a little bit too much and that one tire drop. I did get to the outer zone better than he did. I did have a bit more fluidity and a bit more speed than he did on the lead. But his follow, even though he was sacrificing angle, he was right there. So I think our minor mistakes in our better run. So my lead was better than his lead, but I still had a little bit of mistakes. His follow was better. His follow was better than my follow, but he still had a little bit of mistakes. I think that's what pushed it to OMT, because if his follow would have been like dead nuts perfect, I think that was me. I think in the clip here you see, well, that's us out then. So I think the only thing that saved him was my tire drop on the lead, and the only thing that saved me was that he didn't have that much angle on his follow. So really getting pushed to the limits here. We're heading into our one more time. It's basically the same thing, sudden death, if you're unfamiliar with how drifting competition works. And yeah, we're switching positions, going one more time. I got it right this time. No one's running the fucking line right, and it's really throwing me off. Alright, IT folks. First OMT against CA Powers with 3 Zs. I don't know if he's asleep or something. Again, everyone was running this kind of like a faint flick entry. I just wanted to carry as much speed into the corner as possible. I didn't want to lose a mile an hour or two by going from the left side of the track to the right. So that's why I was opting not to do that, because this corner is so speed focused. So I follow his line here. Again, really doesn't get out to that outer zone. I almost die here. Death almost occurs here. It's just the way that can I use my... No, can't do that. It's just the way that this track's elevation change works, where as soon as we get to a more significant part of the banking, you can kind of see the car kind of like unsettle, and as soon as you get to the top half of this banked corner, the car starts to straighten. I don't know if you can see it, like see me panic, but I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. Somehow still keep the car sideways. I grab some e-brake just to make sure the car still stays sideways. So then I'm going to go for a charge here. He's doing really decent. He's doing really good here. Doesn't really get all that outer zone, but other than that, he's fluid. He's got some speed going. Way better than his first run. No drop there. But in comes Mongo. I give him a little bit of a love tap. No harm, no foul. As long as contact is made where it doesn't affect the lead driver, it's no fault to either of us. So I make a big charge here in the follow position. I give him some room to maneuver, so we are going to open up a gap a little bit. I tried to come in again, but I just threw a little bit too much angle. Didn't end up working out too bad. Like, this is still decent proximity. It's not amazing, but we're still there. We're still present. Cross the line. Not the best follow from me, but I had moments of brilliance. Not the best lead from him as well, but he never really made any major mistake. He could have been more outside here. Again, for people like, you did the same thing. I'm a follow car. I follow what the lead does. So if you see me make a line mistake, as long as he's doing the same thing, it's not judged as a mistake to me. I guess you could say this contact is a mistake because it's a slow down position, but it was so light, like it doesn't affect him at all. Like, it was a love tap, if that. Just to put some purple on the side of his car, that was about it. But my major mistake here was probably that. Straighten and then letting him get away from me again. So got some work to do in the lead once again, but as we know, that is our strong suit. So we're switching up and let's see what happens. He's out. He's out. All right, we're in the lead now. Again, I can only go off kind of what we're seeing. But this proximity arrow, I have the driving line on, not on purpose. It's just something that I forgot to turn off, and I keep forgetting to turn off. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. I try to not have it on just so it kind of differentiates or explains that we're not using any assist. Like, I don't even use ABS or anything. Of course, I'm on the wheel as well, as you can see. But one thing I'll keep on, especially when I'm leading, is the proximity arrow, because in Forza you can't adjust your field of view, so I don't really like using cockpit view in Forza. Even with the drift camera, a lot of times the cockpit cameras are either way too far forward or way too far back, and it goes by car to car. Some of you guys know that in my old Jaguar XKRS GT, if you're in the cockpit camera, the camera actually clips through the roll bar, and you can't really see half your windshield. So this is like the only real assist that I'm using is this camera view, and as well as this proximity arrow. So I know he's still on me. It goes a little bit gray there, but it's still orange. You can see his shadow. He's still right there. I run this outside line. Thank God I finally did it properly. But the not good part is that he also finally did it properly. Right there on me, actually. Good job from him. A little bit of a slow transition. I could have done a little bit better there. Again, he's right there. I got to use some foot brake. I think that might have been a slight against me, but I had to slow the car down because I was carrying way too much speed going up the hill. Didn't get all of that outer zone. Again, that's something that this is the worst part of the track for me. I just struggled. I was like, you know what, whatever. You can actually, I don't know if you could see it, but right here in my head, I was like, you know what, you didn't get to that outer zone. Just do your best you can here. I get the best second half of the transition that I've had all day. Good angle, really good angle. You can see that I'm gapping him. I'm leaving him across the line. They're going to vote this as a one more time. This is going to go another one more time. So we're going to be in OMT 2, our third battle overall. I didn't really understand this at first, especially, again, like if you watch the stream VOD, you can hear me go, well, I was way better, blah, blah, blah. But he loses me in the transition, right? That's where he loses his proximity. What do I do to make that happen? I give up on this outer zone. I don't slow the car down and try to pull it out, which would allow him to catch up and stay with me. I just completely don't go for it. And you can see that's where this proximity opens. So I thought, you know, I took off from him. It's fine, whatever. But because I didn't get all of this transition, that's what opened the gap up and actually was used as a negative to me instead of a positive. So that kept him in it, because I think if it wasn't for that, that was all me. Not to say he wasn't driving his ass off either. Like, this was a brawl and a half, this battle between us. But one mistake from me, one mental mistake. It's one thing to not make the zone, but the mental mistake of didn't even attempt to get out there really screwed me over. So we're going to go OMT again. Going to be our third OMT. Didn't grab tires, even though I wanted to. But they're street tires. They last pretty long, even when you're drifting. Again, this series has, like most drift series, has fuel and tires on and damage on. So tires are starting to go. I have that in the back of my mind. We're going to go into our first follow on the second OMT. All right, going into our second OMT, like I said, our tires are in the yellow. Usually that doesn't mean too much. On sport tires, it means a little bit more because you have a lot less tire life to play with. But with street tires, it's something you want to be aware of. So actually, I'm kind of stoked on this because I know I can probably get this outer zone a bit better. He paints this outer zone, unfortunately, a little bit too much. This is the risk that you play with outer zones in general, but especially with this one in its entry. You kind of don't want to be outside as early as him. You want to like be a little bit like how I am here. No, I mean, not even that much. And let yourself ease into it going up the corner. But he got into it right away, and with the speed he's carrying in, unfortunately, that is 2 tires off. And again, maybe to people who don't know, how drift judging works is that if I make the same mistake he makes, it's not a fault against me. I'm following him out. I followed him out to this outer zone because I needed the proximity. This is a place I was struggling with all day. Was not getting close to the lead driver in turn 1. So I dropped 2 tires, but it is not a negative against me. At this point, he's already zeroed. The run's over. But we're going to keep going through it. I'm not sure if that's how this tournament works. I'll clarify. That's how it works in most major tournaments, but this is not a major tournament. This is very much like a for fun series with the homies. So big angle from him. He's doing everything he can to save his run at this point. I'm kind of just vibing. Not a whole lot going on for me. I actually did this transition pretty decent. Not a whole lot of angle, but I sacrificed that angle to be able to keep up with him. I would have liked a snappier transition here, but you know, unfortunately, that's not what happened. Didn't get all the angle I wanted here. And he's got another tire off. So not only did he get a 2 tire off, but he has 1 tire. So if he didn't have a 0 before, it definitely has 1 now. We are lucky. Again, this one wasn't as like the other 2, where the guys just kind of went off of their own, got 0. This was definitely forcing him into a mistake. The longer this battle went, the more pressure that goes on for both those guys. And I'm lucky that I have, what, 10 years of battle experience at this point, if not more than that. So, especially recently, I've learned how to deal with this pressure a little bit more. And again, I think just from going double OMT, maybe tried to do something different on his part, and it didn't end up working out. So he's sitting on a 0. All we got to do is survive. And here's our lead run. All right, so we're in the lead. He's very aggressive here. That's kind of the line you want to take, is you want to grab a bit of this curb, make sure not to get any tires off, and watch when you're entering. Because if you enter a bit wonky or a bit too far to the right, you'll get a tire drop at the beginning of your run. You don't want that. So, best I've done this line all day. I do get, ooh, yeah, you know, that's 1 off. I was going to say, I don't, in the VOD, I say it's not 1 off, but definitely looking back at it, it's half a tire, if not 3/4 of a tire, so that's a tire. The way the rule works is if it's unclear, basically you'll just vote it as a tire off. Luckily, it was only 1. We got to continue carrying our speed. Gonna drop speed here, not using the foot brake, because I think that was a slight against me too, is that I slowed down too much. So right here, I don't know if you could see the input there on the left, but I'm off the throttle a bit more than I normally am, just to kill some speed in the car. We get to the top of the hill, then I also drop throttle here instead of hitting the brake, to kill speed, but without killing all my momentum. So it's not that much of a slowdown, and it gives him a bit more to follow, which actually is a pro for me. If I'm giving him a bit smoother of a lead run to give him a bit more opportunity to chase me, that's better on me if he can't capitalize on that. Still don't get to this outer zone. I was struggling with this all day, boys. That was my one big Achilles heel. If somebody would have, if I would have went up against somebody who had this transition down, I would have been in deep trouble. So he's right there in my bumper. I throw angle here. Again, I'm on power way too soon, and you're going to see why that's a problem. You're going to see some gap open up here as well. Car kind of twitches here a little bit, and then we're going to have 1 tire off. Look how close I was to throwing this away. The rear tire is right here, and it's like on the back part of that rumble strip. So 2 individual tire drops is not a 0. 2 tire drops at the same time is. So this was a significant deduction. The only thing that was keeping me from losing was a 0. If he wouldn't have zeroed, his follow run was actually really aggressive. So if he wouldn't have zeroed, that may have either gone one more time again, or he would have won. But luckily, we skate by with the win. So we were always going to get another battle after this, whether it would be 3rd place or for the win. But we're going to be moving on into the finals. We're going up against, I forget his name, VPC Shorty. VPC Shorty is, again, a new name to me. I'm unfamiliar, Shorty, I apologize. But Shorty, a decent run through the bracket, taking out some big names. TTL Profit got taken out by Cub Scout, and then Cub Scout was taken out by Shorty. He also took out TNP Sid, who was on a pretty good tear through the bracket, taking out UNK Wildcard. So I was kind of just keeping my eye on eye on the stream. I was watching the stream at this point. Again, if you are a competitive drifter and whatever you're battling in is being streamed, you're not watching that stream, you're making a mistake. That's you just being stupid. That is an invaluable resource to gather information on your other drivers. And it's kind of a try-hardy thing, but whatever. I don't want to go against some guy that like does a wacky entry and I'm not ready for it. You know what I mean? So I kind of just try to get as much information as I can through the stream. Also, it's just something to do instead of just sitting there. But I knew this guy was pretty decent. Knew I was gonna probably have to send it. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Our first tournament back, and we're in the finals. Whoa, who would have thunk it? He's slow. He's very slow. Here I go. Get angle, buddy. This is drifting, not drag racing. All right, we're going up against Shorty here. I left the 50 roll in, or the gentleman's roll, the 60 roll, whatever you want to call it. I left this in the video because you can see how important tuning was here. I don't think Shorty, I don't want to criticize his driving too much at this point in the run, but definitely his choice to tune. Remember what I said earlier when I said I try to carry as much speed into that first corner so I could still run a bit of grip in my setup? I think he went the other way. Again, sorry for watching this, correct me if I'm wrong. But if he comes over this crest, the car, he's not even on the throttle. The car just is so set up to drift and set up to slide and have that rear end oversteer that his end, it just steps out, which makes me think, at this point I know, okay, he's got a slow setup in his car. Why do I know that? Because he's probably got a ton of air pressure in these rear tires, which means he's not going to have the grip. So I'm still with him. I still got to be aggressive. But I give him a little bit of space here, just assuming he's going to have a lack of speed. And sure enough, as soon as I get on the throttle, I didn't quite have the angle that he did, but as soon as I get on the throttle, we're right back to him. So we definitely had a speed advantage against Shorty. Big angle from Shorty here. That's where he was, his bread and butter was. Didn't quite have the speed, but he had the angle. Didn't do the transition, thank the Lord, because if he would have did, I would have been in trouble because I wasn't doing this transition right all day. Late transition back as well for him. I threw a bit more angle than I wanted to here. You could see. I was at full lock. That was a brown pants moment. Get the car transition though, thankfully. He's not pulling a lot of angle here. So I give him a little... I went in too fast regardless. We were going to make contact regardless. But he wasn't pulling a lot of angle. I give him a little boop. Gets the car to angle right out on the rumble strip and across the line. So, not a bad run from either of us. But I think the info that I gained from this run was more valuable than the run itself. Because I was like, as long as I can take off in my lead run, this is probably the best follow I had all day up until this point too. I was present, gave him room, was aggressive. The only thing I messed up was transitioning too late here. If I would have transitioned at the right point, I would have been able to almost push him through this corner, which I like to do because I think it's fun. But I didn't quite get there, so I do give him a tap on the rear quarter of the car. It actually helps him more than anything. That's lucky for me as well. If he would have spun there, that would have been a big fault for me. But decent, a good job from both of us, I would say. But his lack of speed is something that I learned just at this second, and I'm going to use in my lead run. Yeah, his car's set up very sideways. It's already over. I can do angle too, buddy. Watch this. Again, we're switched up. I keep checking back to see if he gets loose. And then let's see if I can get to the right. Can I go to the... I can't go back frame by frame, can I? No. Yes, there you go. He's sideways again. So at this second, I know perfect. I can get the hell out of here. Do need to wait until the roll ends. He jumped it by a hair. Just a hair. I think I want to say I was kept trying to look back, so maybe me looking back so much maybe jumped a little bit early. But oh yeah, we definitely jumped that by like just a little bit. I think we were right here when we gassed it, but Shorty set up letting him down there. You can see the proximity arrow. It's almost non-existent. I get a little bit of dirt there, but not enough to be a tire drop. Again, I just got better and better the more I ran this outer zone. I didn't get too much practice going into this, so more and more running really helped. He tries to charge in to make up for the fact that he got gapped on the roll. Makes contact there. Again, no harm, no foul, but definitely something the judge is going to be looking at if they need to... If the battle's so close, they'll look at that contact and go, well, he made contact. But if the battle is not like dead nuts tight, usually those kind of contacts are completely ignored. But still, he's not, because of that contact, he gave me some room. Checked up. So he is not present in the follow till here. He's finally back with me. I transitioned a little late. Again, I didn't get to this outer zone. I'm really mad at myself that I never did it once the whole day. But this was tricky, man. You basically had to bring your car to a damn stop to do this. So it's not something that I was a big fan of. Not something I liked. Transition back at the right point. And this is like the most BM thing that I did all day. At this point, I figured, you know what? I was kind of feeling myself. And I'm like, you know what? I think this win is ours if everything goes right. So I said, I think I said, hey, buddy, I can do angle too. And then as soon as I hit the foot brake here, so as soon as you see those foot brake lights come on, big angle from me. In his defense, he's right there with me. He's not no slouch. Gets really good proximity at the end. Maybe not quite matching the angle, but he's very close. Getting right out to that outer rumble strip. And what the judges decided to do was not tell us who won and make us find out on stream. So I'm going to make you guys do the same thing. Did we win? Did we come second? You're about to find out. Triple OMT is fourth. Give me the win, boys. Give me the win. Give me the W. Give Daddy the W. That's a win! That's a win! First fucking place. Let's go. Grazie, ragazzi. Only came out and won the damn thing, didn't I? Woohoo! Yeah, there it is. Grazie, ragazzi. Gotta love that. Played it smart all day. Car was set up really well. So, we ended up getting the win. Really lucky for us in the beginning half of that battle, or beginning half of the tournament, but I think, again, what set me apart from the other guys today was learning my opponents as fast as I was, adapting my driving to how they were, and consistently getting better and better along with the rest of the day. That last run I had, that last lead run that I had, the only mistake I made was not getting to the outer zone. Again, that's something I was struggling with all day. So, improving throughout the day, really lucky start, but really was able to build on it. You know, GG's to everyone I battled. Again, I didn't mean anything disrespectful by anything I said in the video. I'm just trying to go through and improve myself as a driver, and try to teach people everything as much as I can. And yeah, I'll be running in the next one. I don't know when the next one will be, but you guys can join their Discord. The link will be in the description below. And hopefully I could see you out on track. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace. What a girl need.